everybody, it's Mindy again, and it is Sunday, April 26th, and I'm trying to remember to date these just so I look back, or when anybody looks back, we can kind of remember what was going on. I know the date shows up on YouTube, but just for my own sanity. Today we are making cake pops, which are just a fun little festive kind of a thing that everybody seems to kind of like. So I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants today. I did not do a lot of prep work, except I did bake the cake ahead of time and figured you wanted to wait for all that. So I baked my cake, but everything else I'm going to be doing as you would. However, I'm going to give you a couple little pointers along the way about places you'd want to maybe stop and let things chill in between, so you have a better chance of your cake pops being a little more sturdy. A lot of people, when they go to decorate their cake pops, they have trouble with things falling apart and all of that, and that's usually because everything was not cold enough. So I'll stop at each step and explain kind of what I would be doing if I weren't trying to kind of speed this up for a video. Okay, so like I said, well, first of all, let me back up. If you are not familiar with cake pops, I'm sorry, you've missed out on a lot, but it's okay, we'll get you up to speed. It is basically a cake mixed with frosting, rolled up, and usually put on a stick, and then dunked in some kind of a melting chocolate or a candy melt or almond bark. And I'll explain the difference between all three of those. A lot of places sell them. Starbucks has them, and most bakeries anymore. They're kind of a fun party alternative or event alternative. Do you guys remember parties and events? It's starting to become a little hazy. But anyway, it's just kind of a fun thing. Kids, grown-ups, everybody seems to kind of be universal for the most part in their love of them. And I don't find them difficult, but they do take time, and they're kind of one of those a little bit complex kind of little treats. So I think a lot of people are intimidated by them, and I'm going to show you what you can do so that you can maybe feel not so intimidated by them. Okay, so my first thing is I went ahead and I baked my cake yesterday. Once it had cooled, I broke it into pieces and put it into a Tupperware, or not even a Tupperware, but a lidded container, and then I put it in the fridge, and so the cake itself is cold, which is kind of how you want to start things. I'm going to take the KitchenAid and just give it a quick little mix, just to finish making it into kind of like a fine crumbly thing. Some of it's jumping out. Okay. I know you can't see it from here, but kind of see those cake crumbs. I'm then gonna take, this is a whole cake mix, so I use the dark chocolate fudge. I baked it in a 9x13. This is just a can of frosting. You can also use your own frosting if you want, but I had this and I didn't have chocolate frosting homemade. So you're gonna take about half the can. And then I'm going to carefully mix that up. You might need a little bit more than half. I'm going to work with this in just a minute, but while I'm waiting to do that, I'm going to go ahead and start on my melting, or this is actually almond bark. I'm going to start melting this in the microwave. I've got 4 squares here, and I'm going to start at probably 30-second intervals in the microwave and then stir. Okay, while that is melting, hold on. A piece of cake dropped on the floor, and the dog is right around here, so I didn't want to get into that. While that's melting, I'll give you a real quick rundown. I used almond bark, which is the easiest, in my opinion, of the chocolates to melt. I'm using the chocolate squares, but I had a package of the vanilla unopened. This is what it looks like, and you can find that in the baking aisle of your grocery store. And as you'll see, this looks almost the same, but they've started melting. So you want to give it a quick stir. And you don't probably want to do more than 30 seconds at a time, or else it'll scald, and then it seizes up and it's a real mess. So 30 seconds, stir, 30 seconds, stir. So like I was saying, almond bark, it melts, just a really smooth consistency. It's not too thick, it's not too thin. Lots of companies make something called candy melts, and you can also use those. They typically come in a little disc form, and the bonus of those is that you can get almost any color that you want, which is kind of fun. I don't find them as easy to work with. They're a little bit thicker even when they're melted, and I always find it to be a little bit tricky. But if you really have a particular color you want, it's, you know, you kind of have to weigh which way you want to go. And along that line, I have tried to color the vanilla almond bark, but you can't use very much. Hold on. I probably should have had the chocolate melted ahead of time. It's hard to add food coloring to the vanilla almond bark because something about the consistency of the food coloring does not blend well, and it can seize up, and it just like hardens up in like 3 minutes or 3 seconds. So I tend to just stick with the almond bark. Lastly, if you're kind of in a pinch, you could also use chocolate chips, melt them, do the same thing, but again, they're kind of on the thicker side. And that's kind of one of those, if you are out of everything else, kind of like a third alternative. Okay, so I've got my melted chocolate. I have my cake, pop, dough, almost ready, but I'm gonna mix in just a little more frosting. I can tell it just needs a little more. Okay, that is much better. So you kind of want it to be the consistency of Play-Doh, thereabouts. Now we have pre-COVID days, and we have post-COVID days. Because I'm touching food directly, I mean, it's just gonna be my family for these, but it's kind of a good habit to get in practice of. If it's something that I'm directly touching that people are going to eat, I just want to take some extra precautions, especially right about now. So what I'm going to do is get this off of my mixer for one thing. Okay. Plop. All right, I'm going to take about a tablespoon. You're gonna form it, and then I normally don't have all of this on my wax paper sheet. This is just more for convenience sake. It's all nice and close by. And I'm just gonna do 5 or 6 of these, and then show you how to decorate. Now, at this point, if I weren't doing a video, I would go ahead and get all of these rolled, and then I would take the tray, minus all the sprinkles and stuff, and I would go ahead and put this in the freezer for probably about 20 minutes, and that kind of gets that batter to that really cold place. And then I would pull them out and then do the next step. Okay. My cousin posted the other day, she's a nurse. She's like, people, quit wasting gloves. Or not quit wasting gloves. It was quit using the same gloves over and over to do the same, like if you're touching this and then you go to touch something else and then you go to touch the food, she said just wash your hands in between. So I knew I was going to be doing this, so I grabbed the one pair of gloves just for that, and then from this point on I don't really have to touch these directly. So okay, so assuming these have been in the freezer for about 20 minutes, I'll then pull out the cookie sheet. I've got it lined with wax paper. You're going to take your cake pop sticks. You can get, they call them cookie sticks a lot of places. I usually go to Michael's or Hobby Lobby. I think Amazon, I'm sure, has them too. And typically I would use just the Wilton brand, which I really like. But other companies are making these too. These are fun. I don't know if you can see these or not. And these are actually the Dillon's candy bar line, which is kind of fun. So they just got fun colors, and I thought, oh, why not? We'll do something fun today. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take my melted chocolate. I'm going to just put the one end into the melted chocolate, push that into the cake pop. And then after this, again, I would normally put this into the freezer for just about 5 minutes. Now, the one thing you have to be careful of, depending on the height of the cake pop sticks, you have to make sure you've got clearance in the freezer. I've made that mistake before. And usually you just have to take the freezer rack out, but then you have to rearrange your freezer and everything. So thinking ahead a little bit if you're going to do this would help. All right, so I'm going to see how well this works, being that these aren't as cold as they normally would be. And I'll show you, well, I'll show you. We'll see what happens. It might fall off because it's not cold enough, but it might just kind of barely hang on. But that's just to kind of state again that it is really easier if everything is colder. Okay, so here goes. I just kind of hold the bowl, kind of just gently, I don't know if you guys can see this, gently like so. And then I kind of just let the excess just kind of go back there. I'm gonna put that there. Okay, this one is going to do your basic little colored sprinkles. And I'm just going to kind of spoon that on, and that's, it kind of matches the stick. It's cute. I'll bring all of these closer to the camera in just a minute. Okay, then my second guy, and again, I'm just having fun. I think cake pops are just fun to do. If you do need some time, so if you're in a rush, this will not be fun, but if you're just kind of in day 5,362 of quarantine, it's something to do. All right. Next on the tray, I just have the multicolored little jimmies that you put on ice cream. Those also match the stick. It's kind of cool. Got a jumping jimmy there and some jumping sprinkles. Okay, third one, it's gonna have a couple sprinkles, but it'll be okay. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Now, while these look like they're holding up okay, I can tell their shape is not holding as well because they're not cold. So I'm just being very gentle and hoping they don't fall. So like I said, if you take the time to chill everything in between, you'll have a much better time. Move these guys. Okay, this is crushed peppermint. And I'm just gonna take a little spoon. It's really good over either chocolate or white chocolate, and I make those a lot at the holidays. It's kind of a fun little festive thing. Okay, cake pop number 4. We are going to put little mini chocolate chips on these for extra chocolate. So it's chocolate cake, actually chocolate fudge cake, chocolate, and then chocolate chips for the chocolate people in your life. Then, where am I here? Here's this guy. This one. And now, some of you are probably going to turn off this video right now because I'm putting coconut on this one. People are very divided. You either love or you hate coconut. There's absolutely no in between. But that one would be a nice little coconut bite for anybody who likes almond joy, minus the almonds. Okay, so I have those all situated. I'm going to put this aside for a second. Now, you'll notice we did not use this whole can of frosting, which in and of itself is no big deal. You can snap the lid on and put it in the fridge for another couple weeks. You can eat it with a spoon from the fridge, so I've heard. What we like to do, it's kind of like an easy little second dessert. And I'm realizing my hands are going to actually touch the graham cracker, but these are really just for my family. And my hands are clean. I've washed my hands a million times today. So, sometimes what we like to do is just make a graham cracker frosting little sandwich. And the same thing, you can use little chocolate chips, little sprinkles, whatever you want to do. And I kind of just sandwich that together. Now I will put these in the freezer. They're really good frozen. It doesn't get too hard. It's just real crisp and cold. It doesn't do it. I mean, you can eat it straight from the freezer. It won't hurt you. The other thing is if you put these into, like if you eat them right now, it's going to be a crisp, kind of a crunch because of the graham cracker. If you put them in an airtight container, and I would put them in the fridge because the frosting can does say to put in the fridge once it's opened. I may have not done that before and been just fine, but safety first and all. You can put these in an airtight container, and then the next day the graham cracker will have softened and it's more like a soft cookie. It's actually pretty good. So you can do that with graham crackers. You can also, if you have vanilla wafers, you can make little vanilla wafer sandwiches, and they are just like fun little things to pop into a kid's lunch or something like that. I haven't packed a lunch in, I don't know, 30 plus days. Feels kind of weird to talk about that, but they make little good lunchbox treats or little afternoon snacks. So that's just a little something you can do with the extra frosting. And I think my cake pops are pretty well set up. So I'm gonna they could actually use a couple more minutes. The bottom portion of these are a little not set, but I just kind of wanted to give you a little bit of a visual. Okay, so you guys can see this. This is just a tray I had from Target that I love. It's got all the colors. So I ended up putting these just into the little miniature cupcake liners that are all the different colors. So if you were to be serving these up, you could do something like this, and then everybody can just kind of take and grab. A lot of times, if I am, did you get that? My camera skills are so fantastic. Okay, so if I'm making them for a crowd, you can serve them up like that. A lot of times, you can wrap them up into individual little, they sell little cake pop bags. You can wrap them up with a cute little twist tie, and then people can use them for party favors. What else? There's one more thing about the cake pop. Those I obviously made to sit on a tray or a plate. So they have kind of a, when you go to pick it up, the bottom portion will be kind of like a flat, it'll flatten. A lot of times people will make cake pop bouquet type things where you want to have them like upright in a little vase or a pretty cup or something. I did not have time to go into that today, but I do have a styrofoam block that I use. And once you dunk the cake pop and decorate it, you then put the end of the stick into the styrofoam, and then it just has to sit there until it completely is ready to, until the chocolate is all kind of dry. And then once they're all set, you can take and arrange however you want to, and then it has more of that rounded form where it's not like it's sitting on a plate. I don't think I'm explaining that very well, but I think people probably know what I mean. So that is an idea too that you can do. It's kind of like a fun decorative little thing. So I hope that helps. And this Basic Cake Pops 101. And I don't know what I'm going to do next. I was thinking, I've got a couple of ideas going, but I'm not sure. We'll kind of see what the week brings and what I can find at the grocery store. So I hope this has been helpful, and I hope you can enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And again, it's just me in front of the camera, so I'm going to zip around, turn the camera off, and I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Bye.